County Jail. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse this call, hang up or press 1. To prevent calls from this facility, press 9. For a rate quote, press 8. Hello, this is a prepaid call from...
It's me for just a minute. I've been moved to Omaha.
An inmate at the Douglas County Jail. To accept this call, press 0. To refuse this call, hang up. Your current balance is $65.49. This call is from a corrections facility and is subject to monitoring, recording, and the location of your phone will be obtained. For more information about our privacy policy, please visit www.connectnetwork.com. After the beep, press 5 to accept this call. This call is from a corrections facility and is subject to monitoring, recording, and the location of your phone will be obtained. Stay on the line to accept this call. Thank you for using GTL.
I don't consent to the recording of this call. Anything I need to know?
I can't think of anything, Mike. We need to cover probably just the highlights. I got to save some of this funds for the next few weeks, but I'm trying to think of any highlights. Your wife is going to send the affidavit, but it's going to take her some time. She's just waiting on the affidavit notary person. I can't think of any. Oh, Quasi was found guilty. He said it was a very unfair trial, and there was even a guy who went to go to the court to visit him and to see him at the trial as he represented himself, and they threw his friend in prison with no charges. I mean, they said he was trespassing, but there was no reason to arrest him. They also roughed him up, and everybody's going crazy. I mean, the Las Vegas Police Department has gone absolutely insane. So Quasi got a real bad deal, and not only that, but they threw his friend in prison who came to witness the trial. So that's kind of the highlights of that.
Okay. So they never did respond to his motion then?
I told him what you said, but it was already too late. He'd already gotten a guilty verdict. He said the thing was run like a kangaroo court, and I'm not sure.
Yeah, they're not supposed to go to trial until they've got all these motions responded to, and if they denied his motion, then he had the right to appeal it to the circuit court, and then the circuit court would have had to rule on it. And then, that's how you stop a trial. These motions have to be responded to before you go to trial.
Well, the guy who arrested his friend said, I'm going to kick your ass even if I lose my job. That's how much they hate people like Quasi who represent himself in court, and they even hated his friend. His friend has a viral video that's been seen like probably tens of thousands of times where the judge is like yelling at him, telling him to apologize, and he keeps bringing up the Constitution. And as the bailiff is manhandling him out of the court, the judge is telling everybody that he needs to also get a mental health evaluation. So these people in Las Vegas, they're probably just a representation of what's going on all over the country. But when you represent yourself and talk about the Constitution, you become enemy number one.
Right. Instead of them acknowledging what they're doing as a fraud, you've got a mental disorder because you're recognizing the truth. Yeah. That these people are insanely crazy. If somebody can look up the Seventh-day Adventist in the area where Aliceville, Alabama is, I'm confident there's got to be some church there that has a notary within the church that would go by and do Mrs. Parsons' notary for her. In a church contact visit, they will allow. The rules require them to allow contact visits with religious people, of course, for the purposes of the notary, too. That's required. If she's waiting there because they just are claiming they don't have one, they're lying. They're required to have a notary there at all times.
Here's exactly. Let me read you exactly what her message was. Hey, Rudy, I had planned on sending it. Part of the process is done. The $10 fee was taken out a day late and $1 short, as they say. Now I have to remind my counselor to put me on the call out for the next time the notary comes, which I am told is once a month. And then she asked if your trial was still on the 6th of August, and I said, no, it's been moved to August the 28th. And then she said, God bless and walk sacred.
Well, they're supposed to have a notary there all the time, and it's not supposed to cost her anything. She's not supposed to have to pay a penny for that notary service. because that's legal process. Also, I got a notice from you that the U.S. attorney has been replaced, or did he just quit, or what's the status? Do you know?
U.S. attorney for what specifically?
You sent me a notice that the U.S. attorney has been replaced. There's a new U.S. attorney over the case. Jan Sharp is no longer over the case, I guess? Or did they just add another U.S. attorney? There's two of them now.
Man, I don't remember that at all. That might have came from maybe Dorothy. Did Dorothy say that? Or?
No, it came from you on the 27th. Looks like Trader sent it to you, and you copied it and sent it to me on the 27th.
Okay, well, yeah, I don't even read his crap, man. I mean, I don't know. I mean, if he says that, that's what he says, but I just print his stuff off.
Well, it was a printout. It was a printout from the court. It was off the docket, off the Pacer docket.
Okay.
And it shows...
what was the docket number? What was the docket number?
I don't have it in front of me. I'll have to get it. I don't have it right in front of me, but
okay, yeah.
I got the letter from you that said legal stuff that had the stuff from Dorothy. I hope that everything that you sent is in there, but they're going through that stuff regardless. They're totally ignoring the fact that they don't have a legal right to go through it out. They're supposed to open it in my presence. Then they can search it if they want to search it, but they're not supposed to open it outside my presence because it's legal.
Yeah, I'm highly suspicious that they removed that video you kept telling me about because it's, that I just suspect they didn't allow that to get to me.
Yeah. Well, I don't know how that happened or where it came from or whatever, but anyway, I heard something called Q. If you can do, or somebody can do some research to find out, there's a group that's a Q something and other, and they are exposing pedophiles within government, and I guess what is generically referred to as the deep state, the entrenched operatives within the government that is basically, running the corporate bureaucracy against the will of the people. But I've heard this mentioned over the last week a couple of times, and it's now starting to pick up a little bit of,
Yeah, my wife could probably tell you about Q a lot better than I can, but there's a big debate in the Patriot community whether they're for real or not. I don't really respect anybody that's anonymous and doesn't come out and mention their name. Other people will argue that they have a reason for maintaining their anonymity, but you can't hold anybody accountable. Did you have anything to say about Q to Mike?
It's 50-50.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I had heard something that they're going after exposing pedophiles in government, and somebody's willing to do that. Just talking about that is a dangerous area. I mean, I'm trying to help the Chilcote Nation get their kids back, so they get them back from the foster system, which is ranked with pedophiles up there. And these people come out of the woodworks. They appointed well, I think the guy was a pedophile. The guy that's the district attorney, district public defender, in Tipton County, who's got somebody set up to 10 kids at any given time that are all foster kids in his home. So he's cashing in, I believe it's somewhere between $50,000 and $75,000 a year per child that they get. You do the math. He's a district public defender's assistant, and he's, padding his wallet with the revenue stream from this, and he's got a ready-made, harem of kids at his disposal. I mean, I don't know too many people that just fill up a house full of, kids from, 12 up to 16.
Yeah.
But anyway, there were some comments made while I was in the jail from people that had been in high school with some of these kids, and they had talked about some abuse going on there. They wouldn't get too far into it because they said it's dangerous. Some of these kids just disappear, and they say, oh, well, they must have run away. It's a lost child, and nothing ever said about it. Next back page. Any articles that I can get where it references the FBI shooting and killing the victim or their corruption or whatever, anything like that would probably be good.
Well, that would be Lavoy Finicum, Sammy Weaver, Randy Weaver's son, Vicky Weaver, Randy Weaver's wife, all the people at Waco trying to escape the fire they targeted, Lon Huriuchi. I mean, there's many, many victims of the FBI killing people. I hate the FBI, and I think they're the loins of Satan.
Well,
yeah.
If they take this to trial, and I've got articles that I can show the jury as a supporting evidence of the history of these people, because I can only say so much. And if I don't have something to put in their hands to refresh their memories, a lot of these people that might not have a clue, I mean, I'm amazed at the number of people that I run into that have no idea about Randy Weaver and his family, or that don't know anything of, all they know is Branch Davidian were, some kind of a cult, and they got what they deserved, which is the standard line that the FBI pushes. One
of the prisoners that I advocate for, his name is Richard Taus. He was in Vietnam, flew a Chinook helicopter, and he was in the FBI for over 10 years. He was a whistleblower, and he said that the FBI assassinates their own all the time, and he wrote a book about it. It's called To Be a Hero or something like that, Stolen Honor, and he talks about how the CIA runs drugs and the FBI kills people. So this has been documented even within whistleblowers, and so. But the problem is, like you said, it doesn't get on mainstream media.
Yeah, I talked to people that had been involved with those operations, and they said that they literally were told that if you come on board and we think that you're an issue, we're going to exterminate you. You're either a team player all the way. That's why they say these company men are company men for life.
Yeah,
it's like a gang. You're either with us or you're against us, and that's why you see people like Bush, was a former CIA director, become the president, become involved in all these things like the savings and loan scandal, where they brought down building number 7 in free fall, controlled demolition, textbook. But they said, it was a fire that brought down a metal steel building. Right. I mean, they want you to believe that lie, but I'm not buying it.
No, it's so freaking obvious with Building 7, and anybody who wants to argue that has some sort of cognitive dissonance, or they're just an absolute idiot. I mean, Building 7 did not come down from a fire, and I don't even think the World Trade Centers. I think there was controlled demolitions in that buildings as well.
Yeah, they were. Yeah. I believe what we were looking at. There's one video I saw where the plane hit the side of the building, and it looked like the nose of the building come out the other end.
Right. Yeah.
There's no way that a quarter-inch thick fiberglass nose cone on a Boeing 757 is going to puncture through any kind of concrete or steel or anything.
Right.
It's not happening.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and hop off so I can save the funds, and if there's any information available on this Q operation, it could be that if they've got a way to receive information, somebody could send them my information and say, here's a guy who's a political prisoner that they're trying to railroad into prison effectively for life. As I've been told now, they're going to try to do an upward enhancement because of his armor-piercing ammunition. It's like, well, guess what? Any round from a rifle is armor-piercing by design. You can take any type of a bullet from a rifle, and it will pierce body armor.
Yeah.
They don't want to talk about that. What the definition of armor piercing has to do with, for that purposes of enhancement, has to do with pistol rounds that are, steel or, depleted uranium, stuff like that. Pistol rounds from a handgun, not a rifle. Because you can take any off-the-shelf rifle cartridge, and if you shoot a ballistic vest, unless it is a half-inch thick steel plate, it's going through it. Those vests are not stopping anything out of a rifle.
Yeah.
Forget that.
Yeah.
So.
Well, let me help me understand why were you talking about armor-piercing bullets and bulletproof vests? I missed the point there.
Oh, this public pretender, court-appointed liar, professional liar, whatever you want to call him, he told me that they're looking at doing an upward enhancement to basically make it a lot longer time.
Yeah. That's what Frater is threatening. I didn't read all of Frater's crap, but he's saying that they're going to put upward enhancements on you too, and they're going to put upward enhancements on Quasi, and you guys are facing decades in prison. All this crap. Let me say this, Mike. This Tommy Robinson. I'm not a fan of Alex Jones. Other people disagree with me, and that's fine. I think he's like selling umbrellas in a rainstorm, and he only does things that make him popular or make him a lot of money. But he has Tommy Robinson. You know who Tommy Robinson, the UK guy that was speaking out against Muslims, and they're interviewing Tommy Tommy Robinson. It's like a massive, big, gigantic viral interview, and he's talking about how deplorable the conditions are in prison, and they mistreated him in prison, and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, that's all fine and dandy that they can advocate for a political prisoner over in the United Kingdom, but we got political prisoners right here in our own backyard. You got stories of being strapped down to a chair and being punched in the face by a U.S. Marshal. Nobody wants to talk about that on, big news stations like Alex Jones. He only wants to cover people over
1 minute remaining.
over in the United Kingdom,
Well, Alex should take on this cause here. He should talk about it. He can come up here and interview me or send one of his guys up here. We're not that far, and I'm sure he's got some reporters that could come in here and talk to me, and I can tell them what's going on, and they can see for themselves. When you're locked down 23-1 for 8 months straight in solitary confinement, and you never see the light of day, you don't get to see the sun except when you're transported for over a year. They call that torture.
Yeah.
When you're starved to where you go from 195 pounds down to 165 pounds, that's starvation, that's torture. By definition of the Supreme Court, those are the two most effective forms of torture to get people to confess or agree to plead guilty. And everybody in these places, they're all saying, everybody plead guilty or you'll never go home. And they're warehousing people with insane bonds. This is a business. People need to wake up. It's a corporation posing as government. It's not our government. Our government.
Thank you for using GTL.
All right, that was Mike Parsons, and in regards to Alex Jones, I mean, there's no money in covering the Mike Parsons entrapped by the FBI and being punched in the face by U.S. Marshals, and there's no money in covering Pat Parsons entrapped by the FBI and having to surrender herself to an Alabama prison, but I'm sure there's a lot of ratings, and he gets to sell a lot of products by covering Tommy Robinson. So let's just forget Mike Parsons, Pat Parsons. Let's forget Richard Taus, Schaefer Cox, Bryce Quellar, who had a YouTube channel with 200 million. Let's don't talk about political prisoners in America. But hey, Tommy Robinson's real popular. Let's cover Tommy Robinson for hours and hours because, hey, a lot of people are interested in that, and we can make a lot of money and sell a lot of products.